solving word process. A principal of $500 is invested at 8% per year, compounded annually. Write an exponential equation to represent the relationship. What kind of question is this? Exponential growth or exponential decay? Growth. And we know that because you're getting money. You're getting percentage, right? Now, because this is a growth with a rate, what do you think, what formula do you think I need to use? The 1 plus I, right? Now, this whole lesson was set up to just use the y equals ab to the power of x, but I don't like to do that because there's different formulas to use for different type of questions, okay? And because it gives you the rate, you're going to have the 1a 1 plus I to the power of x.
Oh, you're not writing the actual, like...
Which one?
Oops. If you're not filling
Numbers?
properly.
Next. So first, you always start by writing your formula down. Okay? What's your initial amount?
500.
So I'm just moving, literally like going step by step, okay? So that is 500. Now, it says here to sub in the rate. I'm just going to write these. These are the special words, and then double uses, what do you use for double? 2. Half-life, you use? Triple, what do you think you use for triple? 3. And then for the percent, for the growth, what do I use?
1 plus I.
And then for the decay, what do I use?
1 minus I.
Good. So in this case, I use the 1 plus I, right? So what's my I?
8% or 0.08.
0.08 to the power of x. So it's asking you to write an exponential equation to represent the relationship. Is this the exponential equation that I'm looking for? Now, can I simplify it by any chance? What do I do? Yes, so I'm going to add whatever is inside the bracket, right? So y equals 500, 1.08 to the power of x. Question for you. Once you're done copying this. Does this look like this to you? Yes? What's your A?
500.
What's your B?
1.08.
Good. Right? Now, here's what Mrs. Sikali or Maya is going to do. Look. Don't write this. Is that right? Is that right? Why not? The 500 is to the power of 1. How about the 1.08? It's to the power of x. I can't. This is not right. Multiplying these two is incorrect. Okay? People want to do it. People have the urge to multiply. No. Because only the 1.08 is to the power of x. Because BEDMAS tells me I have to do exponents first before I multiply. Right? Which I don't know what my exponent is, so I can't simplify any further. Correct? Correct? So I don't want to see this on the test. And don't tell me I didn't say it. All right. So that's it. I'm done. I set up my equation. This is the equation. The question asked me, set up an equation. Let's read the second one. A new car costs $20,000. Its value decreases by 16% per year after it's purchased. Write an equation, an exponential equation to represent the relationship. So, when you read this, what are the key points that you're looking for?
Decrease.
Decrease. Decrease means
Decay.
decay, right? It's giving me a rate. That means I have to use
Y equals a bracket 1 minus I x.
perfect to the power of x. Excellent. Excellent. And what is my I?
16
What's 16%? 0.16. What's my initial? So first it's saying, it's telling me to do the initial first, but you can put the initial and the I, you can put them together, okay? So I'm just gonna follow the steps here, but for you guys, when you're doing a test, you don't need to write 2 steps for me. Okay? Can I simplify this? What can I do? The inside the bracket, so what's 1 minus 0.16? Now, if you're losing 16%, right, because it's decreasing by 16%, how much do you have left? How much do you have left from a full number? How much do you have left? No, just look at me. Look at me, don't think about this. That's a question. If you lose 16%, how much are you gonna have left over? 84%. So, 84. So does this make sense to you? Yes, right? The reason why we do 1 minus the 0.16 is because we're losing 16% of my 100%. Right? So if the question tells you, like going back to your homework question from yesterday, you're bouncing a ball, or you, whatever the question was, and then the ball rises back to 80% of its original height. So does this 80% represent how much you're losing, or it represents how much you have left over? Left over. So how much are you losing then? 20. So what's your I? 20. So in the question, it's going to be 1 minus 20, which is going to give you 0.8. That's going back to your homework question from yesterday. Okay? So you have to read the question very carefully. Okay? If it says you're losing 80%, then that's your I. But because it says you rise back 80% of your original height, that means you're losing 20. Because 80 and 20 gives me 100. Okay? So read your questions very carefully when you're writing when you're doing your homework or when you're writing your test. Okay, let's read that last question. I'm giving you a few seconds to read it and to think. The population of Alberta between 1987 and 2005 can be modeled by an exponential equation. You're reading keywords, right? Can be modeled by exponential equation. The population in 1987 was 2.4 million, and the growth rate was 1.7%. What other keyword do I need to circle? Growth. Right? All right. So if I want to write an equation that models the situation, what do I write? Okay, so I'm going to write the original equation first. A.
1 plus I equals bracket x.
Okay. And then what's A? 2.4. It's going to be just 2.4. We're going to specify things when I'm done the question. Okay, 1 plus 0.017 to the power of x. Y represents what? Does it represent time? Does it represent height? Does it represent population? Does it represent the year? What does it represent?
Population.
Population. Right? Y is the population. What represents the year? X. Right? Always, always, always. Okay. So where P, you're going to have to specify here. Where Y represents what did we say? Where Y is population, but we have to be careful. You see that a lot in the questions, where Y is population in millions. You have to specify that. You have to tell me that Y is population in millions, right? Because what we only plugged in, we plugged in 2.4. We didn't plug in 2.4 million, right? But it's representing million. It's not 2.4 people, right? And when you get an answer of 10, for example, it's not 10 people, it's 10 million, right? So that's why we need to specify that. And what does X represent? Now, because the population, the initial population was 2.4 million in 1987, so that's my initial population, not since the word was made, right? Or since the beginning of life, it was 2.4 million since 1987. So this is my initial population since 1987, right? So where X is the number of years since 1987. So what would be my first year? 1987 would be 0. What would be 1988? 1. That's the first year after 1987. What would be 1997? 97.
10.
10. Right? So that's 10 years after 1987. Right? So you have to be careful what you are plugging in. I'm going to skip this one for a second. I'm going to go to C and then we'll come back to this. Use your model to calculate, actually let's just simplify this for a second. Y equals 2.4, 1.017 to the power of x. Now use your model to calculate the population in 2012. What do you do? Sorry? You gotta find the year. How do you find the year?
So
2012 minus 1987. Remember that 1987, I'm doing C. 1987 is your year 0, right? You want to see how many years have passed between 1987 and 2012. Okay? So you're going to have to find your X first, which is 2012 minus 1987. And what is that? 25. And that's what you plug in for X. And can you find me the answer? .6. So 3.7. So about 3.7 million. Right? It's not 3.7 people. It's 3.7 million. Okay, so make sure that you include a therefore statement when you are writing a,
Oh, because it rounds, sorry.
when you are writing word problem. Therefore, the population in blah, blah, blah in 2012 will be, or was, or we are in 2019 now. I need to update these questions.
They're that old.
Now, use your model to calculate the population in 1985.
Would that be negative?
Yes, it will. Because, remember,
You're going down.
your 1987
Zero.
was year 0. So 1985 is 2 years before. So your x is -2. So I don't know why I put negative here. That's not right. I'm just going to erase this. So what would be your answer for that?
Two.
2.3? So do you expect it to be less? Obviously, right? Because it's before, right? Does that make sense to you overall? So you see that when I wrote this, I made sure that I told you what my y and x are. Because as a person reading this question, I need to be able to know what y and x are. So you're going to let y equals the population in million, and then you're going to let x be the years since 1987. Okay? That's what we call a let statement. Okay, you probably have heard of it when you did some work problems in grade 10 or 9 and 10. Okay?